It started under the Harper government and continued under the Trudeau government. Throughout, it's meant hundreds of thousands of federal government employees not paid, overpaid, or incorrectly paid. The payroll system called Phoenix is the common denominator behind it all, and all these years later, it's still not fixed. Harrison Lohman is one of our producers here on The Agenda. He's been drilling down on this story and joins us now with the latest. Good to have you in that chair.
Thank you.
What was the Phoenix system supposed to do?
Steve, there was so much promise 10 years ago when the Phoenix system was unveiled. It was supposed to revolutionize the way in which we were paying federal public sector employees. Everyone from the people that work in little cubicles in Ottawa to those in the Coast Guard in Nova Scotia. What it was instead was an open wound for two governments that ultimately may mean the cost is equivalent to 3 gas plant scandals, if you were to look at it in sort of Ontario terms.
3 gas plant scandals, so like $3 billion?
2.6 to be exact is what's been estimated. Now, what's happened here is people are being overpaid, they're being underpaid, they're not being paid at all. And the numbers, 70% of the federal public sector has been hurt by this.
Does anybody have any explanation for how or why this happened?
One of the reasons was not enough testing was done. The training was done by the government as opposed to IBM, which I'll mention later on. There was a lack of sort of oversight. What happened was some people have described a public sector who is afraid to speak truth to power was the exact quote. So when they saw things going wrong and they knew ultimately if we keep approving this, things will still go wrong, they didn't bring that up to the higher rung and tell them something's bad.
Well, you know, you've got a chronology that can take us through the last 10 years on this. Should we do this now?
All right, so December 2009, the National Automated Phoenix Payroll System is conceived under the Harper government to replace the regional pay system, which was over 40 years old. It's supposed to save $70 million a year. June 2011, American technology company IBM is awarded the contract to design and implement the system. March 2014, the Conservative government takes on the project's training responsibilities rather than allowing IBM to do it, ignoring their recommendations. October 2015, the Liberals win the federal election. February 2016, despite numerous complaints, Phoenix goes live across 34 federal departments. It's the first wave of the rollout. April 2016, as the thousands of backlogs multiply, and even with unions urging them not to, the Liberals roll out the second wave of the program. February 2018, the Liberals then announced they plan to build an entirely new system rather than moving forward with the fixed Phoenix. May 2018, the Auditor General finds that the building and implementation of Phoenix was an incomprehensible failure of project management and oversight. June 2019, in mid-June, the federal government named 3 companies that could be chosen to build the new system: Ceridian, SAP, and Workday. Their final selection is expected in the fall. 2023, that's when the Parliamentary Budget Officer expects the new system to be up and running at the earliest. They say it will cost taxpayers $57 million to build, could be $105.7 million to run, and the ultimate price tag, the PBO says fixing Phoenix could cost $2.6 billion.
So this is not going to save us $70 million a year at the end of the day, is it?
Yes, it's going to be much larger than that.
My goodness. Okay, well, that is a good rundown of what the last decade has looked like. You have spent some time speaking to people who have been adversely affected by this thing. Want to run us through some of the stories?
So there's a range of people that have been affected, everything from people deferring their retirement because they don't have the funds to do so, to public sector workers visiting food banks. We have federal public sector workers in this country visiting food banks because of Phoenix. I also heard about a mother recently came back from maternity leave, had another kid, but wasn't being paid properly. She had to sell her home as a result of this. 2 people in particular, I'm just going to mention their names here. Ruby Couture, she's a federal employee in the Ottawa area. She has been overpaid $30,000.
Overpaid?
Overpaid. She's spending upwards of 15 hours a week adding, subtracting in this column, subtracting in that. They've paid me here, they haven't paid me here. So she has her own nightmare going on. I'll then take you to Christine Kleindienst. She's a nurse in correctional services in BC. She's gone through what she describes as hell, the most stressful period of her life. She actually is owed $30,000. So she took on 2 other jobs to deal with this. And she said, Steve, that weirdly enough, she wishes she was paid as well as the inmates that she's treating on the other side of the bars. They have a better pay system than she has.
The inmates are not on Phoenix, obviously.
No, they're on their own separate program.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, so the current government has decided to try to replace Phoenix, I gather, with something else. What's the something else?
The something else is something called NextGen. So the Treasury Board has gone out across the country. They've spoken to public sector workers in various provinces, getting a sense of what's gone wrong. And they're creating a system that will be cloud-based, meaning it can constantly be updated. They're going to test it. They're going to train it. This is going to cost a lot of money. They're doing things that weren't done during the Phoenix process. Weirdly enough, in another small room somewhere in Ottawa, there's a group associated with the procurement side of the government that has got to fix Phoenix. Phoenix has to be fixed and run simultaneously as this NextGen program is rolled out. They have to fix it because the information going into NextGen has to be good. It can't be garbage. If they put inadequate information to the next one, then it's just going to be garbage out coming out of the next gen.
Garbage in, garbage out, that's the old expression. This problem obviously straddles two different governments from two different political parties, both of which have been in power and have been unable to resolve it. Is there any independent analysis of who got this so badly wrong?
Both parties' fingerprints are all over this. You can't really lay blame. Like Ruby says at this point, it's been 10 years of this program's existence, that she's done with the blame game. She just wants to get on with her life. She wants to fix this damn thing. And I spoke to Greg Fergus, who's the parliamentary secretary on Treasury Board. And he said, yeah, in my riding where there's a ton of federal workers, he's in Ottawa, people don't want their pound of flesh. They just want this over and done with. Let's move on. Let's fix it.
What are they going to call the new system if it's ever up and rolling?
They're not sure at this point. As I mentioned, come September, they will have selected likely the company or even companies that will create this new system. But Fergus says they're not going to call it Phoenix. They're not going to call it Phoenix 2.0. They're not going to call it Phoenix 3.0. The Phoenix is not coming out of the ashes. It's not rising. It is dead. And we'll see what happens come September.
Indeed we shall. Okay, that's a good rundown. Harrison Lohman, thanks a lot for this.
Thanks, Steve.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario. CPA Ontario is a regulator, an educator, a thought leader, and an advocate. We protect the public. We advance our profession. We guide our CPAs. We are CPA Ontario. And by viewers like you. Thank you.